Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by the David Ortiz Children's Fund. And here to tell you all about the David Ortiz Children's Fund is Big Papi himself.
What's going on, my brother?
I'm giving you the floor to talk about your foundation. You do a lot of good for a lot of people. Tell everybody in a nutshell about the foundation.
Perfect. First of all, hi everybody. This is Big Papi David Ortiz, and our foundation is basically based on helping children that have heart issues. We do a lot of open heart surgery for children, heart care. Our foundation has been running for the past 17 years. We have been able to overcome. We are getting surgery done for more than 1,600 kids. More than 16,000 kids somehow, some way have been benefited from our foundation. And nothing, man. I mean, we got the support from companies, fans, teammates, athletes, actors from different categories. I mean, we get support from a lot of people during our event, our options, and it has been great, man. I mean, this is something that I live for, and you know, always giving back is something that my mom and dad always teach me about, and I love it. I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And you know, folks, if you don't know, outside of being arguably one of the best clutch hitters in baseball history, this guy is a humanitarian. He does a lot of good. And let's face it, working with children in the Dominican Republic and New England that cannot afford the critical cardiac services they need, your foundation steps in when needed.
Absolutely. I mean, it's basically, my foundation is basically built up for low-income families who can basically afford paying for these children's surgery. We are well connected with the National Hospital up in Boston, where we also help a lot of low-income families. And like I say, without the support of everybody, plus the support of the team that I played for during my career for a long time, the Red Sox doesn't never happen.
Well, look at it this way. For all the people that see you play on the baseball diamond, even with your past with Escogido, this is so much more important because this is about saving lives as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great stuff. That's great stuff. So if you had a message for the people out there, what would the message be? How could they help your foundation?
Well, we have the David Ortiz Children's Fund page where you can log in and get all the information and get to know what the foundation is all about. And you will see all the information, how you can help. We had events throughout the year. We had 2 big events. We also have auction items out there donated by me and my friends. And that's how we go with the business. That's how we go. That's how we try to help so many kids out there and, you know, make sure that they are all taken care of.
And they can't really get the help that they need because obviously there's a lack of money around there. But more importantly, when you can help people and you can help those kids, you're giving them an extended life that they typically wouldn't have in the first place.
Well, as you know, these surgeries are very expensive. But some of them need 2 and 3 of them sometimes. Because as you grow up, sometimes we do a surgery on a newborn, but as that baby start growing up, the heart is a muscle that also grow up, and sometimes some of them need 2 and sometimes even 3 surgeries. So that is something that we keep in mind, and that is something that we work around. And remember, every surgery have a different type of cost.
Well, and a lot of people would look at, well, hey, you're a superstar athlete, you did this, you won a few World Series, et cetera, and so forth, 10-time All-Star, all that. But what they don't realize is off the field, most of the people that watch these games on television or in the stadiums, they don't realize what a lot of the players do in their spare time and even after their careers. And so there's a really big misconception. Well, you make a lot of money, you don't do anything. Well, that's not true, because even your buddy Jose Arijo does the same thing with his foundation too, doesn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, this is something that I don't do it just for people to get to know what I do. I do it for my heart and soul and time, and even I donate my money myself because I'm a man of God. And, that's basically what I know.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing it. Every single person that, like me, that begin to have a foundation, you go in to do it with a purpose. And the purpose is always helping people that can even afford to be able to pay for the surgery for a child. I mean, can you imagine having a sick child and not having the money to be able to cover everything? I mean, there's so many families that have to deal with, and that's what we're here for.
Right. And I've spent a fair amount of time down in the DR myself. I used to have a house down there as well, over in Cabrera. Yeah, so the other side of the island from where you're from. But driving through from end to end and seeing everything there, I can see, look, there's a lot of people that need a lot of help. And people say, well, a lot of these players come from the Dominican Republic. Listen, folks, that's what they've got. And they're playing stickball. They're not really playing with all the great equipment that the kids in the United States have or whatever. And these kids are working their butts off just so they can play at a bigger level and have something else to do in their lives, maybe a path to get away from poverty or whatnot. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. But that's why whenever you get to where I'm at professionally as a human being, you don't take things for granted. You basically do the thing that you need to be done, and you appreciate things better. You basically want to get things done the right way. I mean, we ain't perfect. We make mistakes as a human, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you just want to get the right things done.
And I would agree. I mean, look, a lot of people will just say, look, this guy makes a bunch of money. He can afford to do it. No, he's doing it out of the kindness of his heart and because he's a good human, not because he's trying to win points with this person or this organization for endorsements. And that's a big misconception out there, David. And I think you're doing a great job with the foundation, and you're doing a great job for a lot of people.
Thank you very much. I mean, that's what life is all about. And like I say, I feel like I'm hitting my biggest home run every time we get one of these key surgeries done.
That is the big home run, isn't it?
That's right.
Never mind the 3 World Series or the MVP or all this other stuff. The big idea is driving that ball over the fence for those kids.
Absolutely.
That's good stuff. Hey, is there anything that you want to promote outside of this? I'm going to give you the floor to go ahead and talk about whatever the hell you want to. Take a minute or so and promote anything you want to. Go ahead, boss.
I mean, thank you very much for the opportunity to let, a different side know about our foundation. To me, it's an honor to be part of this. I'm a human being that I'm all about, helping people and try to get things done. I encourage people to do the same thing. There's so many people out there that need help. And, man, it's enough for real.
It is an honor. And listen, hey, look, I know you're a busy guy, and I know you really can't stay with us here, but we'll bring you back another time so we could talk a little baseball, maybe a little World Baseball Classic, or maybe about the Escogido Leones.
Absolutely. That's the thing that I played for in the Dominican for a long time growing up, but trying to establish myself in the big league. Got to learn so much. And some of the time we can go through it.
Okay, well, let's do that. David, thanks for joining us. That's David Ortiz, Big Papi, of course. He gets an astounding round of applause. And thanks, folks, for spending time with us here on the Sports Circus. We're going to be back here in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Circus.
Hey, thank you very much.
It's all our pleasure, boss. Anytime.
All right.
All right, folks, that was David Ortiz, otherwise known as Big Papi. And, look, talking baseball is one thing, and I'll go ahead and cover that in the next segment, because I have to tell you, there is so much more to this. A lot of people just don't get it. Anyway, back here in a few on the Circus. Don't go anywhere.
Can't beat fun at the old ballpark, friends. High pop fly. That would be a home run in a phone booth. I don't know what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go and buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you'd get a prize and find no prize in the box? Here's the pitch. That might not sound important to some people, but when you're a little kid, especially from humble origin, and they cheat you out of a prize. There's a bouncing ball. Second baseman has the Barbary over to first. It's hard to think in laudatory terms of the product.
I think if there was an occasional box of Cracker Jacks that found no prizes for the little Harry Carey many years ago.
You got that right. And boy, when a box of Cracker Jack to me meant a lot of money. Here's a pitch, bounce foul. That's the most asinine marketing I've ever heard of. One ball, one strike. These guys say, well, you sing about Cracker Jack. I said, I only sing it because it's in the song. Here's a pitch foul back. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised, even to this day, some youngsters who buy a box of Cracker Jack don't find a prize in the box. One ball, two strikes, 2 out. Well, if you're going to talk about our congressman being crooked, here's a pitch foul out of play. Why not talk about commercial products who don't do what they represent to do?
They told me when they hired me it was a temporary job. Born and raised in St. Louis, and you can imagine the Cardinals were my favorite team from the day I could remember. And all of a sudden, the miracle of life, I'm broadcasting Card games. I own the town and broadcast them for 25 years, and I thought they're going to give me a gold watch, and they gave me a pink slip. Then I went out to work for Charlie Finley for a year, and that's par for the course. Came to Chicago, and I was with the White Sox 11 years, and now with the Cubs. Never missed a game, never missed a time at bat, never missed a half inning that I was supposed to do. You know, Chicago is such a marvelous city. Hey, we got some Chicago people. You know, you never succeed in this business until you've had the experience of working with a terrible hangover. Not until you've been able to come through with flying colors under those circumstances can you consider yourself a professional. Lord knows, I've had more than my share of hangovers.
There's a drive. Way back. It might be. It could be. And it is. Holy cow. This crowd is wild.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at uppercutchops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and, of course, the king of all, those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had. Probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at uppercutchops.com. That's uppercutchops.com. Or give them a call and find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100. Or uppercutchops.com. All right, big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcoming everybody else up and down the West Coast. If you happen to be listening with our friends over on KCAA in sunny Southern California, thanks for joining us. That's NBC over there, plus all of our other friends up and down the West Coast, and throughout the Midwest, the Heartland, all the way down to Auburn, Alabama, WAUD, home of the Atlanta Braves. Big hello to our friends also over in Atlanta, Georgia, WDJY 99.1 FM, as well as everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, and WOW cable television affiliates in select markets, Hotel TV in all Nielsen-rated markets, and everybody streaming on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. That should just about cover everybody, even those on the Mars rover. You know, in the first segment, we spent a pretty good amount of time learning about the David Ortiz Children's Fund. Now, in case you don't know, or in case you just tuned in, that would be, of course, Big Papi. David Ortiz Children's Fund.org. And look, I'm just right here on the site. Every $5,000 raised equals one child's life saved. That's incredible. And of course, the David Ortiz Children's Fund Foundation, it provides essential support for children in the Dominican Republic and throughout New England who cannot afford critical care and the services that they need. And they are obviously committed to enhancing the health and well-being of children who require life-saving surgeries and improving cardiac care in both New England and the Dominican Republic. Of course, that's where David is from. Our investments, is what they say, our investments in the U.S. help inform advances abroad and save lives around the world. And their reach, 2,000 kids in both New England and the Dominican Republic are born each year with congenital heart disease, and they need everyone's help. And that is what David Ortiz's Children's Fund is committed to. In fact, their mission, real simple, it says the David Ortiz Children's Fund provides essential services for children in the Dominican Republic and in the New England who cannot afford critical cardiac services they need. They are a proud partner with Sedamat Hospital in Santo Domingo and the Massachusetts General Hospital for Children to fulfill their mission. And of course, through outreach, education, and support for medical care, they're committed to enhancing the health and well-being of children who require those life-changing and life-saving surgeries. Now, also, in addition to funding pediatric cardiology surgeries for low-income children, the David Ortiz Children's Fund provides detection and screening for more than 1,600 children, support for a regular rural outreach and detection program in the Dominican Republic, child's life specialized support services for more than 4,000 children, specialized pediatric cardiac care training for 12 other hospitals, and extended training for hundreds of emergency workers to improve outcomes. Boy, that's a lot of good stuff there. I have to tell you, folks, if you want to learn more about the David Ortiz Children's Fund, you can go ahead and check them out at davidortizchildrensfund.org. That's davidortizchildrensfund.org. By the way, I'm going to talk a lot about his fund and so forth. I think that's wonderful. You know, a big part of David's background outside of Major League Baseball is the Escogido Leones. And they recently won Game 7 in a thriller to claim the Dominican Professional Baseball League title. How do you like them apples? He is a very big supporter for his home country baseball team. And, we look back to the World Baseball Classic. They won the World Baseball Classic in the Dominican Republic back in 2013, while Japan has won it in 2006, 2009, 2023. The U.S. has only won it one time in 2017. Now, I went to the 2009 World Baseball Classic, and I saw a lot of interesting things happen in that. And one of the interesting things I saw Japan play Korea in one game over at Dodger Stadium. And never before have I ever seen this. I was sitting equal with the right fielder just a few rows off the field. And so Adam Dunn was up for Team USA, and Adam Dunn, of course, hit those low line drives, those screaming line drives. So if you don't have a glove, you got a real problem if it's coming at you. Anyway, so Adam was at the plate, and this was in the game. In fact, I saw two games there. This was the U.S. against Japan. And Adam hit the ball, and it was probably 15 feet off the ground. I mean, it was just a screaming line drive. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, it's coming right at me. Well, it was coming right at me, and I turned to it, and I'm ready to possibly get my hands broken because this is what happens when you try to catch a baseball without a baseball glove. Anyway, I'm kind of terrified, but at the same time, I know how to feel because I'm a former ball player. But anyway, the ball's coming right at me. I'm like, I got it. And it hits this Japanese girl square in the side of the head. And I mean square in the side of the head. She was on her telephone, and the crazy thing about this is that the ball hit her, the ball fell, and she got up like somebody just tapped her on the shoulder, and she went right back to texting on her telephone. I've never seen that before. And I went to reach for the ball. Of course, some guy grabbed it right out of my hand. The guy that was sitting right behind her grabbed under the seat and took the ball, and he gave her the ball, which I feel like, look, if you're not paying attention, you get hit with a ball, just keep doing what you're doing and let somebody else have the ball, if you know what I mean. But I've never seen anybody get hit square in the side of the head like that and not get knocked out. Hell, that happened to me one time in a game. I dove back into second base. I rounded second, and I was on my way to third. I came back. The throw came back into second base instead of third base. I dove in, and I got hit right in the left side of my head, and I was out cold for, it had to be 5 minutes. But what an awful feeling that was. And it was, I think, 97 degrees out that day. Just a really hot, miserable day. But my point is, I got hit in the side of the head, and I was out. That woman got hit in the side of the head, and she just kept on trucking. I guess texting is a little bit more important. I don't know. But when you go to these baseball classics, it's kind of like going to a real World Series. And what's interesting is I found that in 2004, after the Red Sox won the World Series, of course, David was on that team. Well, that's when they started going from world champion on the broadcast booth. This is what I seem to recall, that the announcers started to say, well, hey, this is the world champion. Da, da, da. Well, instead of that, I mean, they started saying World Series champion. And maybe that was a precursor to the upcoming World Baseball Classic. I never did figure that out, but I'm going to guess that's what it was because the first World Baseball Classic was just a couple of years later. And then, of course, after the Red Sox won their first World Series in a whole bunch of years, the old curse of the Bambino, right? Then the White Sox won it in 2005. Of course, a nice round of applause for the White Sox. My horrific White Sox that I root for, mercy. They're probably... Well, they're a pretty bad baseball team. Let's just put it that way. And we'll clear our throat on that and say, yeah, maybe next year they'll be better. I don't know. Probably not. But that whole World Baseball Classic tournament, so to say, is one of those really cool ones because you've got all the different groups out there, so to say. And, when you look at the World Baseball Classic, they break it down into group A, B, C, and D, and so forth. So we go back to I think it was the 2000. Let's go to the World Baseball Classic. Let's try this 2023. We'll go back to the 2023. And what you have, we'll go to the rosters. And when we talk about the rosters, look, there's a qualifying process. Let me just go over this real quick with you in case you don't know. So the World Baseball Classic from 2023 was an international professional baseball tournament. This is officially as described. And the fifth iteration of the World Baseball Classic began March 8th, 2023 and ran through March 21st, 2023. Originally scheduled to take place in 2021, 4 years later, after the previous event was canceled in May 2020 as a result of the pandemic. It was later announced the qualifications for the Classic would start in September 22, as agreed by the World Baseball Classic Incorporated. The tournament expanded from 16 to 20 national teams, with all teams that participated in the 2017 edition automatically qualifying, plus 4 additional spots. Now, unlike in 09 and 13 and 17, the U.S. lineup attracted some distinguished players and attracted significant attention for that tournament. Now, Japan, of course, won their record-extending third title after beating the defending champions, that would be the U.S., 3-2 in the championship game, becoming the second team since the Dominican Republic and the 2013 World Baseball Classic to win the WBC with an undefeated record. And, of course, Ohtani was named the MVP. Back here in a few minutes on the Circus, going to pick up with this World Baseball Classic in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
My favorite one had to do with the Green Bay Packers. And I love the fact that they dealt off Ty Montgomery because of a blown assignment. Green Bay isn't Green Bay unless they have a good running game. Then they can win 10 Super Bowls. The fact is, you don't have a running game, you've got 70% passing, and that's not where Aaron Rodgers needs to be. He needs to be in a position where he's got a running game to offset the passing game and so forth. I like the move. Green Bay didn't have a running game anyway, so all they're doing is saying, we're going to get rid of you because you don't follow instructions.
Well, he made one of the most boneheaded plays I've ever seen. There's 2 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. They traded him on Tuesday.
They should have cut him on Sunday night.
He shouldn't have been on the plane back to Green Bay.
Right, they should have made him walk back to Green Bay.
No, it was a terrible play. Now, he's not a stupid guy. He went to Stanford.
Really?
He's not a dumb guy.
He's not a dumb guy, but he doesn't follow instructions.
He made a terrible play.
The fact is he didn't follow instructions. And you say he's not a dumb guy. His own agenda he put ahead of his team.
I agree.
Thus, he is a dumb guy. Right or wrong?
Wrong. He just got selfish. You're not going to convince me that a guy from Stanford's a dum-dum.
No!
Yeah, this is Sidney Justin from the Miracles.
So you heard yesterday's show at Roy Firestone. Didn't you hear a little clip about him going into the office where Smokey was at? And that was really good material, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really funny, man.
Yeah, and then you heard him.
I thought it was hilarious. It was cool, though. It was cool. Really cool story, man. I enjoyed listening to that.
Right, and then he gave a couple of bars. Can you give us a couple of more from Ooh Baby Baby? And let's see if you could do it better than Roy Firestone. Come on, man!
All right, you know what? Why not? I did you wrong. My heart went out to play. But in the game, I lost you. What a price to pay. Hey, I'm crying. Ooh, baby, baby. How's that, man?
That's
Is that okay? Is that good enough?
That's incredible.
Fantastic.
You know why? Because that's what you do. You're in the incredible business, Sid. That's awesome. Yes! Only on the Sports Circus. You're going to get sports? You get music?
I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus. Join me and Hall of Fame world champion and all-star celebrity guest for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms. Also, thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Everybody else on television, you know who you are. Pick your favorite affiliate. Also, everybody streaming on Chicago Food Favorites, plus Apple, Amazon, Audible, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer. We're everywhere, folks. You can't get away from us. Thanks for joining us on all of those platforms as well. So in the first segment, we had the great big Papi, David Ortiz, but you can call him David Americo Ortiz Arias, born on November 18th. So folks, make sure you circle that date. You remember, this is a guy that helps a lot of kids. A good old big Papi is a Dominican American and former professional designated hitter, for all you that didn't know, and first baseman. This guy played 20 years of big league ball. From 97 to 16, of course, mostly with the Boston Red Sox after playing parts of 6 seasons with the Twinkies. And, well, he didn't really do that great over there. Boy, he moved to Boston. This guy just turned into technically one of the best clutch hitters the game has ever seen. And, of course, ending that curse of the Bambino, that 86-year World Series drought in 2004, as we mentioned in the last segment. And, of course, winning a couple of other World Series in 07 and 13. Also was named the most valuable player in the World Series in 2013. His first 5 seasons with the club, he averaged 41 home runs and 128 runs batted in per year, leading the American League twice in the latter category and setting the team's single-season record of 54 home runs in 2006. And he finished in the top 5 of the American League's MVP voting all 5 years. And, of course, used almost exclusively as a DH during his time with the Red Sox, he was a 10-time All-Star, 7-time Silver Slugger, and became regarded as one of the greatest designated hitters of all time. And he received, of course, the Edgar Martinez Award as the league's top DH 8 times and set major league records for career home runs, 485 at that time, RBIs, 1,569 at that time, and hits 2,192 at that time as the DH. And he posted 10 seasons each with 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. That's a big, big number, folks. And, of course, he hit 300 or more 7 times on top of it. It's pretty hard to do. After a drop in his offensive numbers from 2008 to 2012, look, this guy came back in his last 4 seasons, had one of the best years in his final campaigns, leading the American League in doubles, runs batted in, slugging percentage, once again leading the team to the postseason. Crazy stuff, man. Look, and upon his retirement, ranked 60th in the American League in AL history with 541 home runs, 5th in doubles, 632, 9th in RBIs, 1,768, regarded as one of the greatest clutch hitters of all time. And he had 11 career walk-off home runs during the regular season and 2 in the postseason back in 04, as a matter of fact. And the first in which clinched the AL Division Series. In 2022, David Ortiz was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. Now, in case you didn't know, this guy was born way back in the time machine in 1975 over in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, the capital of the DR, and I've flown there myself. I've been there myself. I tell you what, it's hard to really make it out of there unless you're some kind of professional, a baseball player or whatnot, a musician, something. It is tough sledding over there. And he is the oldest of 4 kids in his family as well. And so this guy went to high school, graduated in DR, and of course was a superstar baseball player, but very few knew that he was a basketball player as well. That's right. And when you think about the whole family life, and look, each time David crossed the plate after hitting a home run, remember him looking up to the sky, pointing his index fingers to the sky. It's actually in tribute to his mother, Angela Rosa Arias, who died in a terrible car crash in 2002, January, at the young age of 46. And of course, David also has a tattoo of his mother on his bicep. Now, they also, being David and his wife, they have a few kids. And his daughter, professionally, she goes by Alex Veda. That's her first name and her middle name. She is a graduate of the Berklee College of Music. So not only was he a good ball player, but he's also a good dad. And his kids have grown up to do some really good things here. As a matter of fact, she sang the national anthem before the 2016 Red Sox home opener back on April 11th of 16. And the same before her father was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 2022. Now, his son D'Angelo played baseball in high school, graduated 22, and after playing at Miami-Dade College, which is kind of a big deal right there in Miami, D'Angelo was drafted by the Red Sox in the 19th round of the 2024 draft. How do you like that? And in August of 24, David's youngest son, David Jr., was signed as an international free agent by the Texas Rangers. Look, this guy's breeding good kids. He's helping kids, breeding good kids. He's just a good dude. Now, in case you're wondering about that whole career thing and all those accomplishments, again, lifetime batting average, 286. Hit 2,472 hits in Major League Baseball, 541 home runs, 1,768 runs batted in. Played for the Minnesota Twins from 1997 to 2002, Boston Red Sox 2003 to 2016, 10-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champion, World Series MVP, ALCS MVP, 7-time Silver Slugger, 2-time Hank Aaron Award winner, Roberto Clemente Award winner in 2011, American League Home Runs leader 2006, 3-time American League RBI leader, Boston Red Sox number 34, retired. Of course, Boston Red Sox Hall of Fame, in addition to the Baseball Hall of Fame, which he gained about 78% of those first ballot votes. That's a lot, folks. And by the way, in case you don't know, there's all kinds of neat little tidbits out there. When you think of Big Papi, you think of, well, how did he get that name? Well, actually, he really, as I understood it, he couldn't really remember some of the other players' names, so he would just call him Papi. And apparently, Jerry Remy, the Boston Red Sox announcer, just said, we're going to call him big. He's big, so we're going to call him Big Papi. And I'm pretty sure that is the origin of it. Now, he was originally known, of course, as David Ortiz. And looking back, it seems a little bit crazy that we've called him anything but David Ortiz, but that contract he signed with the Mariners read David Ortiz. Ortiz chose to be known by his mother's maiden name for the first 6 years of his baseball career before finally catching on as David Ortiz when he was traded to the Minnesota Twins. By the way, and I say that because David originally signed his first contract with the Seattle Mariners. So most everyone knows him as a Twin or a Boston Red Sox, but he reached the big leagues as a member of the Twins, but his first contract was with the Mariners. Also, in case you didn't know, he once beat Alex Rodriguez and Ken Griffey Jr. in a home run derby as minor leaguers. But then again, look, so you probably may have heard this, maybe you haven't, but it's too good to pass up. Think about it. Back in 1996, the Mariners set up an exhibition game against their single A affiliate, Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, and the game got rained out, forcing them to adjust to a home run derby. Griffey couldn't hit the ball out of a wet paper bag, but A-Rod hit a few himself, but David Ortiz turned it into a hit machine parade, and all hell broke loose out there with the home run category. And David was one of those guys that was launching baseballs because that's what he does. And when he hits them, he hits Titanic moonshots. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love the fact that when you see those big moonshot home runs, you get the pose, you get everything that comes with it. You're like, wow, look at that ball go. And very few people hit home runs like that. I mean, the great Jim Thome. Jim Thome hit those big arcing moonshots that just seem to take forever to come down. But boy, when you see those kinds of home runs, folks, that is exciting. I mean, me personally, as a fan of baseball, as a former player, I never liked to see him as a pitcher, of course, because it discouraged me. But then again, as a fan, I love to see those like most everybody else. And when we see those big moonshot home runs, we like to watch in awe of those over just the line drives. And honestly, the line drives are pretty fun to watch because those are true connection shots. But those Titanic moonshots, I love calling them that, that is exactly what they are. Boy, they're fun. And we all know that Big Papi hit quite a few of those, folks. Tell you what, we're going to be back here on the circus in just a few minutes. In case you missed any part of this show, go back to Amazon, Audible, and Spotify, and iHeart, and YouTube, and whatnot, and go back and watch or listen to the first segment with David Ortiz, because he talked about his foundation. That would be the David Ortiz Children's Fund. And today's show is brought to you by them. So make sure you check that out, folks. Back there in a few minutes on the circus. Don't go anywhere. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
The following is a sample from the Sports Circus.
Big Billy here. He certainly knows something about making things difficult on the competition.
He's a punisher.
Yeah, just break the ribs.
Yeah, just
I still haven't broke someone's collarbone yet in a boxing match, and that's my goal. I want to put somebody in the shoulder.
There's time, Bronco.
I want to put somebody in the shoulder.
You got your bucket list over here of pain.
Yeah, bucket list of pain.
I haven't broken somebody's collarbone. I've broken everything else.
Which reminds me, I was thinking the reason he probably doesn't wear anything when it's cold outside is he figures he'll just grab some nerd and squeeze him real hard and squeeze the warmth out of him.
Squeeze the warmth out of him. That's a great statement. I have not broke someone's collarbone in the ring yet.
I've never heard that before.
I have not. I can't
Is
wait.
there a reason you said in the ring?
I can't wait.
Is it that you've broken collarbones just outside of the ring?
You did catch that, right? He said in the ring.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Like,
He got him on the...
Because the concept on that was that during I throw a flag downfield for DPI, so
How
to
far
speak.
could you throw a flag? What's your record for throwing a flag?
Well, you know what people don't realize.
I know there's beanbags or something.
There's beanbags marks the spots. Flags, you've got a little sand in it and you roll it up to a little ball to try to get to the spot. You don't. People think that you're throwing it a huge distance. You don't have to throw it a huge distance. You just got to get it on the right line.
But do they have like a punt, pass, and kick for flags?
No, but you can throw it 15, 20, 22 yards pretty easy. You know, you can throw it pretty good to get it to the spot.
Have you ever thrown a flag at a player out of frustration?
No. I'll tell you what I did do. Years ago, when I was in high school ball, we used to wear the flag in our back pocket. Most officials wear it down in the front. Yeah, and I went to throw the flag, and at that time, we didn't have all the official supplies like you have now. I used to go to the hardware store and get a fishing weight to put in the yellow flag.
Went to the hardware store.
Imagine how old I am.
You can see how well the NFL really pays well, don't they?
So I had this weight in my flag, and it was in the back, and I was on the wing, and I went to throw it, and it got caught in the back of my pants, and I swung it like this, and it went across, it hit the kid in the helmet. The kid looked at me and said, "Now don't go offsides again."
But the goofiest thing that we ever did was they filled a swimming pool full of Jell-O, and people could pay to watch Gary and I dive into this pool of Jell-O. And he and I raised $100,000 doing that.
Okay. That's hilarious.
That was the goofiest thing I've ever done.
I love that. And, at least when you go underwater, you can actually eat Jell-O.
That's right. That's right.
Can you actually swim in Jell-O?
You actually could, because it's so soft in texture that you actually could.
That's ridiculous.
That's funny. Probably the craziest Bill Parcells moment was one day we were getting our butts kicked. We were playing, I forget who we were playing. I forget, I think might have been Philadelphia. We came in at halftime, and the room was quiet. The room was stoked quiet. Guys were mad. What's going on? And Parcells comes in the locker room, and he has a garbage can full of garbage. And he takes the garbage can and he dumps it in the middle of the meeting at halftime. And the guys look at each other, and we go, what the hell was that about? The next thing you know, because that's what you guys are playing like. And I might as well leave you right there with it. But that was a quietly kept Parcellsism.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by the Sports Circus. Make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're there. You can't get away from us. Also, make sure you check out the partners page. Lots of great partners over there. One of those is Al's Number One Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. And if you can't get over there to have some great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. And learn the history about the Italian beef sandwich, which was created by Al's uncle way back in the days around, we're going to say around 1920 or thereabouts. And there's a real nice history piece on it. It's a lot different than that Philly cheesesteak sandwich. There's a real story behind it. And boy, is it good, folks. Check them out again at alsbeef.com. All right. In the first segment, we had Big Papi on the show talking about the David Ortiz Foundation and the Children's Fund. Boy, what a great cause. And we've been talking about it all show because really this show was dedicated to helping kids. And I can assure you, there's a lot of people out there that have real health issues. They don't know where to turn. David Ortiz says, you know what? I'm going to help some people. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get these kids the help that they need. They need cardiac care. We're going to pay for surgeries. And he does this out of the kindness of his heart throughout New England, partners with a hospital over in Boston, the greater Boston area. Same thing down in the Dominican Republic. Has helped thousands of kids. And all of this was put together, by the way, by our good friend, Jose Rijo. All right, Jose. You may remember Jose won a World Series with the Cincinnati Reds in 1990 when the Reds swept the big bad Oakland A's in 4 games. And boy, that was one hell of a World Series. As a matter of fact, I believe Jose got a couple of those wins in that World Series. And on top of it, Jose's a great guy. He has his own foundation, helps a lot of people. Just a good dude. And a lot of people don't really know this guy, but listen, off the field, he helps a lot of people. He's very gracious with the fans, whether they're Cincinnati Reds fans or Yankee fans. He started out with the Yankees and then went over to the Oakland A's and was dealt over to the Cincinnati Reds. But this was made possible by our friend Jose Rijo, and I want to make sure that I give him a nice round of applause. You know, the baseball business is a funny business. And I say that for a lot of reasons. When we think of what it takes to get to the big leagues, it is a bumpy, bumpy road. And from my own experience traveling that road, whether it was bus trips here or bus trips there or playing in this crazy place or that crazy place, on this awful field or that awful field, eating terrible foods. Look, we heard a lot about that from our friend Zach Manassian. And Zach wrote a book called Lasorda University. And Lasorda University sort of outlines his journey with Tommy Lasorda with the Ogden Dodgers. That's Ogden, Utah, the Ogden Dodgers. Of course, those guys always get a big round of applause. And I say that because, look, when you're playing minor league baseball or anything under Major League Baseball, man, it is a bumpy, bumpy road. And the stories that come out in some of these, I have my own crazy amount of stories. And, I mean, I'll tell you one of them just because I can. And I remember I was playing this game. It was in the Mexican League. And I wasn't a prolific hitter, not for 1 second. But I was also a guy that would, if I wasn't pitching, I'd be out there playing center field or whatnot. And a complete liability, I'll have you know. A total liability when it comes to playing anywhere in the field. As I, you say, yeah, why did you put me out there? Okay, well, it's because I was speedy. I had really, really, really big speed. And so I could track a ball down quickly. The problem is, as a pitcher, folks, you may not realize this, but a pitcher's game is 60 foot at 6 inches. That's it. This is what your whole life revolves around, 60 foot, 6 inches. And so, first of all, when there's a comebacker, you've got to be ready for it. If you don't end up your delivery in a position where you are ready to field the ball, there's a very good likelihood if there's a comebacker, you're going to get hit in a spot that you don't want to get hit in. And frankly, you don't want to get hit, period. But you're not going to be in fielding position. And if you're not in fielding position, chances are you could injure yourself. And we see guys getting hit in the head, hit there, hit here. And the problem is they throw the ball, the pitchers throw the ball, and they fall off the pitcher's mound. So the left-handed pitcher will fall off to the right side. The right pitcher, of course, right-handed pitcher will fall off to the opposite side, which is basically the righty will fall off to right field side, and his back will technically be facing first base or right field after he throws the ball, or the dugout anyway. And so the opposite, of course, for the lefties. So when they deliver the ball, what they don't do is they don't execute it properly. Now, a perfect example of proper execution and throwing a ball, not overthrowing, was Greg Maddux. Greg Maddux, I think he won about 16 gold gloves or whatnot. But when Greg threw the ball, or after he threw it, he was in perfect fielding position to field his position. Remember, there's really 8 guys out on the field, and of course, plus the catcher. And in many cases, the pitcher is out of position, especially in today's time. The pitcher is out of position, and there's a hole up the middle. So a lot of those comebackers would go to the pitcher. They would end up going right back up the box between the shortstop and second baseman. And that's unfortunate because the pitcher is supposed to be ready to fill that hole right there. And unfortunately, in most cases in today's game, the pitching coaches don't relay that. They don't coach it. They don't teach it. Even at the high school level, they don't teach it. I would even argue at the prep league, the prep size, when it comes to pee-wee baseball or whatnot. Pick your favorite league. The point is, the kids aren't being trained properly. A lot of people have said, well, why don't you coach Little League Baseball? For me, I said, absolutely not. I can't do it. Because the parents always meddle. Okay, I can't say always, but they largely meddle. Oh, you're not doing this and that for a little Billy or whatever. It gets tiring to hear the people and the parents just meddle and meddle and meddle. It's like, shut up already. Seriously.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
And every time you tell them,
stop it,
they just say,
shut up! Shut up!
they just, it's that constant battle back and forth.
Shut up! Stop it! Shut up! Stop it! Shut up! Stop it!
That's what it's like talking to parents of little leaguers. And honestly, it's even getting that way with the high school kids too. Because remember, now you've got that whole name, image, and likeness thing that has even hit the high school level, which is a real problem. But fielding your position is a really big deal. Greg Maddux was the prototypical pitcher when it came to fielding his position. And when you take the guys that are out there that are hitting those comebackers, and they say a lot of times as you're coming up through the system, as I did, I always heard if you hit it square, you're going to knock it right off the pitcher's forehead. And we used to say that too. I'm guilty of saying that too. But you don't say it because you're trying to hurt the guy. That just means we want you to hit the ball square. So sometimes that actually happens where the pitcher can't even get his glove up fast enough because the exit velocity, all that, I guess all those statistics or whatever, all that stuff is part of the whole mathematical equation now on how baseballs are hit. But sometimes the pitcher can protect themselves and get into position. And so this is why delivery is really important and the follow-through is really important. And you don't have to overthrow the ball to be effective. And again, Maddux was that prototypical guy that showed you could throw in the low to mid 80s and you could be just as effective as someone throwing 100 miles an hour. Because if you're throwing low to mid 80s and you have pinpoint control, you must, of course, at that speed, then you're actually that painter, that Rembrandt out there. You're hitting the corners, you're painting the black on home plate, you're doing what you're supposed to do versus a guy that's maybe wild in the strike zone and just getting the ball over the plate somehow with his get me over 100 mile an hour fastball. Well, guess what? The hitters, all they got to do is dial it up a little bit and that ball will travel very, very far when it's hit. That's how we get these David Ortiz style of home runs, these titanic monstrosity of moonshots. But if you're a smart pitcher, you're going to be able to work the corners. You're going to work the hitter inside, outside. And again, Ohtani's come up a bunch of times in this show because I don't believe Ohtani can hit a fastball up and in. I just don't think so. The way he holds his hands, the way he puts his foot in the bucket, the way he flies open. If he hits the ball, in my opinion, if he hits a ball that's high and tight, up and in, right below his chin, well, guess what? Either two things are going to happen. Either he's going to pop the ball straight up in the air and probably shatter his baseball bat, or if he does connect, it's going to be about 100 feet foul. It's just not possible. Jose Rijo and I talked about this recently on air, and it was about just that because you just can't keep the ball fair. So the pitchers in today's time, like even when David was playing, there was ongoing battles between the Yankees and Red Sox since the beginning of time. And there have been battles where Roger Clemens maybe hit somebody and then Pedro Martinez turned around and hit somebody. It turns into a war, but you got to own the inside part of the plate. Now, David Ortiz was one of those guys that's a left-handed stick. He could turn on an inside pitch. And we're talking about David because David was the whole first segment. And he was one of those guys, a Hall of Famer, that could turn on an inside pitch and keep it fair. So a very, very dangerous hitter. But in most cases, you take a guy like Ohtani, he doesn't hit the same way. He doesn't have the same bat speed through the strike zone. And unfortunately for him, his impact point is when his knuckles are lined up big and little, and he doesn't get around fast enough on an inside pitch. So therefore, he can't yank it down the line to keep it fair. So the whole pitching thing, it's a whole nother conversation. If you missed the show with Jose Rijo, go back and listen to that show. It's a good one, and we talk a little bit about owning the inside part of the plate against guys like Ohtani. But then again, today's show was all about the great Big Papi, David Ortiz. So we can call him Big Papi. All right. In case you missed it, go back and listen to it, folks. Lots of fun here on the circus. That's going to do it for today's show. And check out David Ortiz's foundation. That's the David Ortiz Children's Fund.org. DavidOrtizChildren'sFund.org. Check that one out. Great cause, helping a lot of great kids. And he's a really, really cool dude. Back here in 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.